Again, good morning. Before we start the event, we would like to greet all our participants who are with us today via Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube for the Kooha Media Launch. So before we start, just a few reminders for today's online event. Please be informed that this online event is being recorded. And to ensure the smooth course of our program, speakers and moderators are encouraged to turn their videos and microphones on during their presentation. Audience are requested to keep their microphones on mute to allow participants to focus on the presentation. Open the chat pane. Participants may type in their questions in the chat pane to be addressed later by the speakers and moderators during the panel Q&A session. So for those who are streaming this event via YouTube and Facebook Live, you may send us your questions to our resource speakers by typing them in the comment box. Our moderator will be relaying them to the speakers during the Q&A portion. And lastly, a copy of the press kit will be available throughout the event by scanning the QR code placed at the bottom left side of your screen. We would also like to invite everyone to download the Kooha app on Google Play Store by scanning the QR code now flashed on your screen, or of course by searching for Kooha on Google Play Store. So just search for Kooha, that's Kooha, and install. So now for everyone's reference, now flashed on the screen is our program for today. So today's event, the Kooha Media Launch, is the first of various activities planned to promote the app and its use. It aims to introduce the app and its functions, existing and ongoing initiatives of the app to mainstream media, stakeholders, and the public. This virtual press briefer aims to officially introduce the Kooha app publicly through the presentations of ASTI researchers, an app demo, and later on a question and answer portion. So before we proceed, may we please invite everyone for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem. Again, a pleasant day to everyone. I am Nicole Chavez from the DOST-ASTI, and I will be your moderator for today. To our stakeholders, partners, and friends from the media, welcome. Kooha is a project under the DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute, or the DOST-ASTI, which is a mobile and web app that enables real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection using mobile devices. To officially start the program, let us watch this video from DOST Secretary Fortunato de la Peña for the welcome remarks.
Good day, everyone. To our colleagues from the Department of Science and Technology, to DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute, our friends from the media, and to everyone attending this media launch. I hope you are all in good health today. It is only March of the new year, but DOST-ASTI has been on the roll of living up to their mandate of structured research and development, as well as continuing and building up on scientific and technological efforts for the maximum economic and social benefits of the Filipino people. Today, we are proud to share with you the new mobile application developed by our researchers from DOST-ASTI. We call it Kooha, Kooha. It is a photo-sharing mobile and web application that enables real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection using smartphones and mobile devices. These tough times brought our nations to embrace innovations that help us connect with one another, limiting the physical no matter where we are in the world. This shift to smart solutions to mitigate the greater impact of the virus transmission made us adapt, albeit gradually, to technology-driven solutions. Sharing moments are now seen on social platforms, and Kooha is responding to this innovation. Kooha enables users to capture images and share daily moments, like most of our mainstream social media applications. The developers and researchers of Kooha also continuously add features as a contribution to the growing field of community-based advocacy and research development in the country. DOST continues to develop these applications to provide more avenues of building stronger social connections. We are hoping that Kooha, just like the previous developments introduced by the Department of Science and Technology, breaks barriers in the field of communication technology by connecting its photo-sharing features to R&D in order to form a multifunctional mobile and web application built and designed for science and technology. To everyone gathered here in this event, may you share this new and interesting mobile and web app to your family, friends, relatives, colleagues, and boast of one another Filipino-made innovation for and by the people. Thank you and have a good day.
We'd like to thank Secretary de la Peña for that video message. The DOST-ASTI is always grateful for the support. Now to give her opening remarks, she is currently the Undersecretary for Research and Development of the DOST-ASTI. She supervises the 3 DOST sectoral councils, the 7 DOST Research and Development Institutes, the National Research Council of the Philippines, and the Technology Application and Promotion Institute. Further, she oversees the management of the DOST R&D Fund's bilateral and multilateral linkages of the DOST Special Projects Division, which provides technical and administrative support to DOST in the management of the DOST Grants and Aid Program. She also leads the DOST Science for Change program. Please welcome Dr. Rowena Cristina L. Guevara.
Thank you very much, Nicole. To our friends in media, my colleagues at the Department of Science and Technology, especially at ASTI with its officer in charge, Engineer Alvin Retamar. Sa ating pong mga kasama dito, magandang agham po sa inyong lahat at welcome to the official media launch of Kooha app. We hope everyone is safe and doing well. And first, I would like to congratulate our researchers from the Department of Science and Technology, Advanced Science and Technology Institute, or DOST-ASTI, for this new development in software technology, especially the project team behind the Kooha mobile and web application. We at the Department of Science and Technology have been constantly working to keep up with the times, developing modern innovations in global and local scenes. Given that we are still in the middle of a global pandemic, our work in the field of research and development is proving to be more challenging and fast-paced. Now more than ever, social media continues to play a big role in making Filipinos stay connected with one another. Network signal and good reception are crucial as these dictate how fast we can connect to other people. This is where Kooha comes in. With Kooha mobile and web app, users will be able to connect with others through photo sharing while also contributing to science through sensor data that can be useful in R&D of improving network signals, especially in remote areas. To put it simply, the Kooha app, with the help of other R&D services such as Core and Preginet, makes it possible to envision a nation that can utilize resources for data science and analytics and create sustainable system or infrastructure for generating big data in the country. This innovative mobile and web app stems from a design-based research with Filipino people in mind. Today's event will be led by some of the Kooha project team's developers and project leads who will, for sure, give us more exciting details of the uses and applications of Kooha. They will be sharing more of its features and functions through a walkthrough for us to be better equipped with what lies ahead of this application. I'm certain that this will help our current and future users to fully appreciate Kooha's functionality. Join me and the rest of the OST in applauding this app built by our very own researchers and developers for the Filipino people. Thank you and magandang agham po sa inyong lahat.
On behalf of the DOST-ASTI, thank you once again, USec Guevara, for the support. Again, we are inviting everyone to download the Kooha app on Google Play Store by scanning the QR code flashed on your screen or by searching for Kooha on Google Play Store. Just search for Kooha, that's Kooha, and install. Now let us proceed with the introduction of the Kooha application and further understand what it's all about. Just a reminder to our media friends and viewers, you can ask questions in the chat pane and comment section after each speaker. We will be having a Q&A portion later after our presentations. Our first resource speaker is currently a project technical assistant at the DOST-ASTI. He is a licensed aeronautical engineer with skills in computer language. He has also worked with some projects outside ASTI for application research, web design, and content. For the Kooha project, he serves as the front-end developer of the application. Please welcome Ferr Painagan.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ferr Painagan, Project Technical Assistant 3 of the Computer Software Division. I shall be discussing the problems you are trying to solve, our proposed solution, its objectives, and its significance. I'm expecting everyone to listen very carefully as I discuss the vital details of our project. And hopefully, at the end of my presentation, everyone will be curious and interested enough to join this scientific movement. We live in a data-driven society. In every decision that we make, we look for data to help us make smart and proactive decisions. It may be as simple as choosing what clothes to wear depending on the weather data, or what gadgets to buy depending on the user reviews data, or even what business strategies to develop based on economic and market data. We can't deny how data affects our lives. But the problem is, do we have the data that we need? Is it enough? Is it reliable and relevant? Do we have efficient equipment, system, and platform for data collection? These are the same questions we ask ourselves. Currently, most of the data we have are just government records and registry data, which is apparently not enough. Although, we have few sources of data such as field sensors and satellite images for weather and environmental data, and WHO and DOH for health data. But then again, these won't cut it. Sadly, that is still the tip of the iceberg. Another challenge that we are facing is the development of gadgets, machines, and equipment that can help collect data. See, those few sources of data we have were collected using complicated and expensive IoT infrastructure that are strenuous to implement. The country's limited access to these IoT infrastructures hinders our capability of generating sufficient, relevant, and reliable data. However, we at DOST might have found the solution. And now, we proudly present Kooha photos that go beyond moments. With its 4 simple steps, capture, enhance, share, and explore, anyone can be a part of this huge scientific endeavor. Be socially and scientifically active with the Kooha app. So why the name Kooha? It is actually a wordplay of the Filipino word kuha, or capture in English. It is illustrated by an image of an owl, which represents wisdom or knowledge, with an aperture or camera lens in its right eye. Kooha is an application that enables real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection using our smartphones and mobile devices. It is a citizen science project and an online social network of students, enthusiasts, researchers, and citizen scientists built on the concept of sharing and mapping contributions of photographs and sensor data across the globe. Since most people have their own smartphones with them, we won't have to worry about building expensive equipment to gather data. Kooha shall be everyone's tool in the front line of the data value chain. When someone shares a photograph on Kooha, it becomes more than just a picture. It becomes a scientific contribution. Data shall then be organized and be studied in the future to draw out insights that matter and hope to deliver impactful solutions. Kooha's goal is to build a societally relevant and responsible social sensing network that shall enable the general public to be the leading data contributor to the scientific community and its research activities. With Kooha, we can create our own niche to generate big data that can be used by researchers and data scientists in the country. Hence, it will aid in identifying the issues and hopefully find the ideal solutions, especially on economic growth, education, health, agriculture, environment, transportation, and effective implementation of public services. After discussing its core purpose and vision, it is apparent that Kooha is undeniably valuable. And to summarize its significance, we have divided it into 3 major points. First, citizen science. Now that we are in the age of data, engaging more and more people shall bear more data generation, which will be beneficial to us as we continue to thrive in this data-driven society. Kooha shall be one of the front runners in promoting data among citizens. Second, societally relevant and responsible social network. Every shared photograph will become an important contribution to the scientific community. These useful contributions shall be then processed and analyzed to guide us in making important decisions. And lastly, big data generation. For research to be meaningful and a decision to be reasonable, we need a massive amount of data. Fortunately, Kooha is here to usher us in big data generation. Furthermore, Kooha shall be leading in organizing the data so as to provide more quality information, insights, and carry out the correct imperatives. Now I hope those things have captured your attention. We're looking at a horizon of endless possibilities and innovations. And always remember, Kooha, photos that go beyond moments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Painagan. If you have any questions for our first speaker, we are encouraging everyone to leave their questions in the chat sections after each speaker. Your questions will be addressed later during the Q&A portion after all the presentations. So after introducing to you the Kooha app, let us now learn how the app works. In this part, our second resource speaker will tell us more about Kooha's functions. Our second speaker is a science research specialist at the DOST-ASTI and is a project quality assurance and UI/UX designer for the Kooha project. In the past, he has also contributed to ASTI's project for the Department of Energy, Project Katunog, as well as the IDAS project. Please welcome John Kevin Abonita.
Good morning, everyone. I am Kevin. My colleague a while ago have discussed the objectives and significance of the Kooha project. At this moment, we are going to dive into how Kooha functions. Kooha is accessible mainly via the mobile application for Android devices and also through web. Major features are available in the Kooha mobile app, while the web app serves as an information system that allows the user to navigate through all the data collected using the mobile app. How does the mobile application work? We categorize the major functions of Kooha into four, such as the capture, enhance, share, and explore function. Capture, as the core functionality of Kooha, allows the user to take a photo of anything he or she wants. As they take a photo, Kooha embeds the sensor data that are available from the phone's sensors to the saved photo. Some of the data that Kooha collects are luminance, pressure, sound, rotational motion, magnetic field, acceleration, proximity, humidity, battery, gravity, temperature, mobile, and Wi-Fi network. As long as the phone supports these sensors, Kooha captures it. Collecting this information is necessary in maintaining the Kooha application. We make sure that Kooha does not disclose any information or any personal information to an unauthorized data processor. Enhance function right now allows the user to attach selected embedded data into the photo using the Kooha frame. Through this, anyone can view details of the photo at a glance. Now, we have images with data. What do we do with this? One of the objectives of the system is to allow user participation in generating big data for future analysis. The share function allows the user to publish to the community the captured images. These images can then be viewed by other users of Kooha, but in order to share, the user must have an active account. Users of Kooha can navigate through other users' contributions via the maps or the community section. The maps allows the user to view contributions through the laid out map with pins on the location where the photo is taken, while the community is a simple grid and list of all the shared photos. The user can view the details of each photo by clicking either the map pin or on the photo on the grid or list. Capture, enhance, share, and explore are the main functions of Kooha. How about the web? How does it work? I will be discussing four functionalities for the web app, such as the contribution, contributors, sensor data, and the search or filter function. The contribution section of the web allows the user to browse all contributions through the map. The map has similar functionality with the one on the mobile application. Pins on the location where the photo is taken is available on the map. By selecting a pin, a user can view details of the contribution and also its contributor. The contributors section, on the other hand, displays a list of all contributors of the images with data. User can browse through the contributions of a specific contributor by clicking it on the list. Details of the contributor and the list and count of the favorites of that contributor is also available. The sensor data section is a list of the sensors with the corresponding count of contributions. User can browse the contributions that are specific to a certain sensor. The last functionality for the web application is the search or filter function. This allows the user to search for the contributions using different parameters. They can filter all the location or all the contributions located in Luzon, for example. There are also different other parameters like filtering by sensors or by date. So those are the functionalities for both the mobile and web applications. I hope you understand those because later part of this presentation will be an app demo on those functions so that you can have a good feel of how really Kooha works. So if you want to see that, please stay tuned. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abonita. Next in our program today is a presentation on Kooha's potential impact in big data application. For our next speaker, she is a senior science research specialist at the DOST-ASTI and the project leader for Kooha project. She has more than 10 years of experience in information and communications technology research and development and systems engineering, and an experience working with web and mobile app development, MVC frameworks, content management systems, and business process management systems. Please welcome Roxanne Aviñante.
Good morning once again to our colleagues from DOST, friends from media, participants and guests who are joining us via Facebook and YouTube channels. I'm Roxanne Aviñante and I am the project leader of the Kooha R&D project. So I hope we all have somehow an idea of what the Kooha project is all about and have an understanding of the Kooha application's functions. For this portion of our program, I'll be presenting Kooha's potential impact and big data applications. So probably at this point, you're asking, what's in it for me when I use the application? Or what will happen to the data and images I'll contribute to the Kooha community via the app? What's the added value of this technology to our society? What makes this technology different from mainstream photo sharing and social media platforms? I hope we can address all these questions as we go through the presentation. It was presented earlier by one of our speakers that there are several types of data being captured and collected when you use the application. So now I will explain what will happen to the plurality of sensor data and images that you will share using the Kooha application. Okay, say you download the application from the Play Store and then you set it up on your devices. And as you capture a photograph, the plurality of sensor data will also be collected. Take note that your devices have built-in sensors such as light sensor, proximity sensor, gravity sensor, gyroscope, barometer, microphone, among others. And the application collects data from these sensors from your devices, and then you'll share or post the photograph with sensor data to the community via the Kooha application. So the photo with sensor data will be uploaded to the core facility of DOST-ASTI via a research network where data will be stored and managed. Through crowdsourcing and with the help of the Kooha users, we hope to establish large data sets, big data, that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns, trends, and associations, especially relating to human behavior and interactions. In essence, big data will come from social data, the IoT-generated data, through the contributions of the Kooha users. Okay, going back to the question, what will happen to the data and images that I'll contribute to the Kooha community via the app? So say we have established a large data set. So first, let me briefly enumerate some examples of potential benefits of big data, particularly improvements in efficiency, where better services can be provided based on the personalization of services and the learning from the performance of such services. So some examples of potential benefits of big data are as follows. First, data sharing or open data. If there's a free flow of information from organizations to citizens, it promotes greater trust and transparency between citizens and organization, or at least for our context, for the government, in line with open data initiatives. Second potential big data benefit is smart city and Internet of Things applications. So the public sector is increasingly characterized by applications that rely on sensor measurements of physical phenomena such as traffic volumes, environmental pollution, usage level of waste containers, location of municipal vehicles, detection of abnormal behavior, among others. The integrated analysis of this high volume and high velocity IoT data sources has the potential to significantly improve urban management and positively impact the safety and quality of life of its citizens. So the third potential benefit of big data is citizen sentiment analysis. Information from social data, crowdsourcing, or IoT. For example, the nature of Kooha application, it is IoT generated. The data is IoT generated. So in essence, it can help policymakers to prioritize services and be aware of citizens' interests and opinions. And last is citizen segmentation and personalization while preserving privacy. So tailoring organizations' services to individuals can increase effectiveness, efficiency, and citizen satisfaction. Okay, having said all these big data benefits, what are the potential areas where we can use the data contributed by Kooha users, given that we have established a large set of data for analysis? First is in the area of telecommunication. So Kooha data can be used to identify areas with weak signal reception based on the collected network coverage signal strength data. This can be used as an input to improve network signal in remote areas. Also, mobile network providers may use this data for example, business strategy. Example, identifying places with low signal strength, identifying places without 4G, 5G, or LTE signal, also determining the number of mobile network users in a particular area or location. Next potential area where we can apply or we can use the data from Kooha in the area of business. Kooha data can be used to identify potential areas or locations to start a business, areas with high foot traffic. Data can be used to analyze the behavior of potential consumers and their preferences. We can also use other data such as network signal, the luminance, to assess if the place is well lighted, natural light, using natural light or artificial light at night, and even identifying or determining the noise level of a particular area. So data can also be used in, for instance, choosing a location for buying or leasing property, considering the network signal, the population on a particular area, identifying if the location is serene or peaceful by checking the decibel level, for example, the noise level in a particular place at a particular time. Is the place well lighted at night, etc. It can also be used for automatic light adjustment in residential or commercial areas. Next area for area of application, potential area of application is the transportation. Data can be used to, example, identify areas with high foot traffic, determining potential causes of congestion based on the shared contribution in the Kooha application. Another area is the tourism, in tourism. Kooha data can be used to improve tourist experience and tourist spots with poor signal strength. It can be used by consumers to gain more info about the place that they're going to visit or stay using the network signal. Are there a lot of people in a particular place? Is the particular place peaceful, serene, quiet, well lighted, etc. It can also be used to promote places by sharing photographs to the community. Okay, in the area of academe or education, the academe may use the data for their research studies. So it's also available for the academe for generation of new knowledge. If they have research studies that they will need, they'll be needing data, they can use the big data that will be available through Kooha. For the environment, the Kooha app collects environmental data that can be an aid for research related to environmental science, disaster, climate change, ecosystems, among others. For disasters or natural calamities, this can also serve as a platform for sharing the current situation or condition of a particular place at a particular time with attached environmental data and can be shared to the community. The sound level you can also be used for reference and guideline for future regulations of regulations on noise limit in a particular area. Also, the weather data such as temperature, humidity, pressure can be used potentially for detecting changes in weather conditions. Another area is in health. Data can be used to track people's physical activity level using motion sensors, associate motion sensor data to study the risk of having chronic diseases or illness. This can be an input to health-related research and studies. And last, for policies and regulation, for crafting policies and regulation for decision makers. Data can be used for other research purposes by data analysts or researchers, and data may infer the general public's behavior, preferences, and associations to better improve public services. Okay, please take note that the technology relies on the mobile device sensors of our phones. Latest phone models and known brands may have quite accurate inertial sensors. Other smartphone models, in particular older ones, may deliver inaccurate sensor values. We also consider this parameter in future analysis and application development. Okay, so we believe that this technology has a great potential in promoting science and technology to enhance innovation and creative capacity towards self-sustaining, inclusive development of the country. Okay, in summary, why Kooha is a breakthrough in R&D? First, data exchange. Kooha made it easier for the public to be connected to the research community. Next is public service. Through Kooha, information gathered can help various sectors create data for research purposes. Social network. Social network, but better. Societally relevant and societally responsible social sensing network makes it easier and enjoyable for users to contribute data to the scientific community. And next is the big data generation. This cost-effective solution addresses technical challenges in adapting an IoT application, such as infrastructure, connectivity, reliable power supply, and data center. And last but not the least is open data. The project will contribute to the enhancement and development of skills and expertise in the field of S&T by allowing academics, public and private sectors, and research institutions to use generated data for advanced diagnostic analytics. So that ends my short presentation about Kooha's potential impact and big data applications. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Aviñante. For the next part, we will be given an app demo on Kooha. Through this app demo, potential app users will have a walkthrough on the Kooha app. We are also encouraging everyone to have Kooha installed on your phones by downloading the Kooha app on Google Play Store. Just scan the QR code that will be flashed on your screen or search for Kooha on Google Play Store. That's KOOHA and install. Our next speaker is the co-technical lead and business analyst for the Kooha project. She has 9 years of experience in software engineering. Some of the projects she has worked for are CSE Comics, various projects for the Department of Energy and Department of Human Settlements and Urban Development. She's also a part of the R&D team in ASTI's computer software division, working on the application of AI to agriculture and Android application for social sensing network application. Please welcome Michelle Neverida.
Thank you. Hi everyone. We are happy to have you as we unveil Kooha to the public. So, let's get started. As what already mentioned, Kooha has mobile and web app versions. We will show you the mobile app first. The initial release of the Kooha mobile app is designed for Android users only. For future development, we will be developing a version for iOS platforms. Kooha runs on an at least Android 8 version. It works best on Android 10. It is currently in beta, which means testing is still ongoing. To start using the app, go to Play Store and search for Kooha. Make sure that the developer of the Kooha app you're installing is from DOST-ASTI. Once you have the mobile app installed, you can now start exploring its features. The first few screens you can see showcase the core functionalities of the mobile app: capture, enhance, share, and for future development, Kooha will also be reading sensor data from external sensors connected to your device. You can also explore the community where all photos are shared. The prominent disclosure lets the user know that Kooha does not use their location data on the background when the app is not in use. For Kooha to work smoothly, there are permissions that need to be granted to the app. These are the storage, in order for Kooha to save the captured photo, location, to geotag the photo where a photo is taken. Studio is the first section of the app to appear. Captured photos are displayed here, and so the enhanced photos using the blend functionality of the app. The Kooha community is a place where all the shared photos of the users will appear. Each photo here is called contribution. When you tap on a photo, its rich details will be displayed. This include the photo, the sensor data that were captured along with the photo. There's also an option to view all the available sensor data. It captures the following: the battery, the mobile network, Wi-Fi network, temperature, luminance, pressure, sound, gravity, rotational motion, magnetic field, acceleration, proximity, and humidity. The map section displays all the contributions with location data on a map. Here, we are using Google Maps. The user can browse contributions according to where they came from. We have categories here. We have all, we have enthusiasts, student, and researchers. When you tap a pin on the map, you will be redirected to the details of that contribution. Same details will be displayed. Now, let's explore the studio. Tap the Take a Photo icon to launch your device camera. The user must grant permission for the app to use the camera, phone call to capture the network details, and recorder to record the sound of the environment where you take the photo. The user has the option to deny access to these device sensors, and they won't be captured alongside with the photo. Now, let's take a photo. Once your subject is captured, preview the image. Then tap on the info icon to view the details of the photo. Now, let's retake the photo. Then, let's exit to view the gallery. If you want to delete a photo, just select it from your gallery, then tap the delete icon. Then a preview of the next photo will be displayed. Now, let's try the blend feature. This feature allows us to blend the photo with the captured data such as battery level, temperature, sound, luminance, network, date and time, and location. Now, what if we want to share our photo to the community? All we have to do is to select that photo and tap on Share. Notice that when we first launched the app, we did not sign in or sign up. which means the app doesn't require an account for you to explore the community and the maps. You are only required to create an account when you want to share a photo to the community. So, let's sign in. To sign up, you have the options to use your social media account, Facebook or Google, or simply sign up and manually fill up the Create Account form. This is what we will do. Tap on the sign up link and we will fill up the form. Make sure to provide an active email address since we will be using this for you to sign up later. Complete the form. View also the terms of use of the app. The privacy policy. You need to agree on this to create an account. When you sign up, an email is sent to your registered email address for you to activate your account. Once you check your email and activated your account, you can now sign in. This is the sign-in page. Just key in here the email address and the password. Remember that we are attempting to share a photo before we sign up. So, the first page to see once we successfully signed in is the share photo. So, let's go ahead and share this photo. Fill up the notes. Add some tags. View the details. Then we can share. Once the photo is successfully uploaded, you will be redirected to the community. You can see your contribution appearing to be the first photo on the gallery. You can tap that to view the details. You can browse on the details and tap View All to see the sensor data. When we tap the map icon just below the photo, we will be redirected to the location of the photo on the map. Going back to the community section, let's try the search feature. Let's search for nature. Once we hit the search icon, a result will be displayed. We can view the result and filtering the result according to tags, people, and notes will further refine the search result. We can also view the gallery in grid and list view. Grid for bigger display, and list for a more compact view. For now, we can filter by newest and relevance. This feature is currently being enhanced by our team. Now, let's check what's in Profile section. Here, you can see your contributions. These are the photos you already shared to the community. The Collection tab is currently being enhanced by our team. Tapping the pencil icon will let you edit the details you provided during the registration. The Settings section contains general information about the app. You can view the details about Kooha, the terms of use, and the privacy policy to which we agreed upon during the registration. We can also find here the sign out icon should we opt to sign out from the app. So in summary, Kooha mobile app has a community where all shared photos are displayed, maps where you can see all the contributions plotted on the map, studio where we capture photo and see our gallery, profile where we can manage our account, and setting for general information. Next, we will be exploring the web application. To access the web app on your browser, key in kooha.asti.dost.gov.ph. The home page will be displayed. Same with the mobile app, core features will also be displayed here. After a few seconds, this window will appear. If you opt to receive update to Kooha, just key in your email address to subscribe. Now click this link to view the live data of Kooha. You will be first redirected to the Contributions tab. Here, you can also perform search and filtering. These features are currently being enhanced by our team. The map here contains all the contribution with location data. You can also view here the same level of details as seen on the mobile app. When you click on a pin, the contributions on that location will be displayed. You can also explore here the details of that contribution. Under the Sensors tab, you can see here a summary of contribution bearing this sensor data. Now, when you click on a particular sensor data, you can see all the contributions with that sensor. Contributors tab displays in a list all the users of Kooha and their respective number of contributions to the community. Kooha web app is designed for general public, so no sign-in required. And that's pretty much it. We have already explored Kooha mobile app and web application. Now, what's next for Kooha? Since Kooha is a work in progress, here are the list of the functionalities lined up for development. First is the reporting of inappropriate contribution. Second, collaborative photo award. Third is gamification to retain user engagement. Fourth is sharing contribution to social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook. We are also planning to have community guidelines, API development for the sharing of data, and some enhancements on the existing functionalities of the app. Kooha team can be reached through the following channels as you can see on your screen. And since we are still in beta, we encourage everyone to install and try the app. We would appreciate receiving feedback from you for Kooha's improvement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Neverida. For the last portion of our online event, we will now proceed with the open forum and Q&A with our Kooha project team and Ms. Maria Irina Matorio of the DOST Technology Licensing Office as part of the panel. So before we proceed with our Q&A session, may we remind participants to type in their questions in the chat pane to be addressed by the speakers and moderators during the panel Q&A session. We're also encouraging everyone to share with us your respective contact details and media affiliations on the chat pane to get a copy of the official media release for this event. For those who are streaming this event via YouTube and Facebook Live, you may send us your questions to our resource speakers by typing them in the comment box. Our team will then be relaying them to the speakers during the Q&A portion. Now, to join us as the moderator for this Q&A session is Mr. Ferr Painagan of the Kooha team.
Thank you, Nicole. So we have a few questions coming from our audiences, from our live streams. And so to ask the first question, this is a question from Jasmine Romero of ABS-CBN. The question is, how can Kooha compete with the various apps in the market? How can DOST vet out photos when so many of them can be shared inaccurately? So anyone from the panel can answer the question. Again, the question is, how can Kooha compete with the various apps in the market? How can DOST vet out photos when so many of them can be shared inaccurately?
Okay, first let me answer the question. That's a good question actually. Kooha actually answers a different problem or pain point compared to other social media applications or photo sharing applications. Primarily, the goal of Kooha, as discussed earlier, is to create a niche for big data generation and also empowering the general public to contribute data to the scientific community. We're not just sharing photographs and some captions and or other medias to the public, and their goal is not to actually disrupt this technology because magkaiba yung yung pain point na ina-address. So yung goal is to develop this social network of citizen scientists, researchers, students with the concept of sharing and mapping contribution of sensor data and making this as a medium for researchers to generate data out of the contributions. So the second question is, or how do we assess if the data being contributed or shared by the public are really accurate? So we just highly rely on the sensor data of the mobile devices and smartphones. So at this point, Android pa lang yung supported natin. We're still developing yung other platforms for iOS. We're still considering that nasa pipeline namin. Pero in terms of the data being shared, the latest phone models and known brands have quite accurate inertial sensors. And particularly yung older ones na mga devices natin, they may deliver inaccurate sensors. we highly rely on the sensor data shared to the community. And ano lang naman siya, straightforward. And when you capture a photograph, it will automatically collect the sensor data and embeds it on the photograph. So yun yung difference lang din. Ine-embed niya yung data, sensor data to the photograph, and then user can share it to the community, contribute it to the community. So, and I hope I answered the question po.
Right. Thank you so much, Ms. Rox. So we have another question from Jasmine Romero. So how can DOST lure users to use a government app when some distrust the government? Aside from the promise to keep data safe, how can users feel safe? What is the guarantee that the data or info gathered will not be used against them?
Well, that's actually a really tough question, no? And we really need to address yung privacy concerns and security ng users. So we have an established privacy policy in terms of use, wherein we provided sections for information collection and use, how we share and retain personal information, and security. And also, Kooha does not disclose personal information for the purpose of eventually sharing the data collected for research purposes. We do not disclose personal information. And also, you can refuse to supply, users can refuse to supply personal information, of course, with the caveat of not doing so much or may prevent you from services and activities in the application. You can still use the app without registering naman, but you cannot share to the community. So without providing your personal information, other than automatic naman provision of your IP address, you will still be able to access and use the Kooha application on a read-only basis. So also we implement reasonable and appropriate physical, technical, and organizational measures to prevent the loss, destruction, misuse, or alteration of users' information. Also, there's a data subject agreement during sign-up. If a user wish to delete their record in the Kooha app, actually, we're currently developing the feature of deletion and deactivation of user account. But in case a data subject would wish to delete their record or destroy it or withdraw consent of processing any information, personal information provided in the application, you may contact DOST-ASTI, the Data Privacy Officer of DOST-ASTI. It is also provided, the contact details are also provided in our privacy policy and statements. So we'll keep your information for as long as necessary unless you request to delete or destroy, and we make sure that we do not disclose any personal information for the purpose of analysis or study. Anonymize lahat ng records natin for that purpose. And also may consent ng user whenever they will provide a personal information in the application.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rox. So to anyone who has more questions regarding the privacy policy, or if you want to know more about it, so maybe you can read the privacy policy from the Kooha app itself. Okay. So another question from Florentino. What's the acceptable file size of each of the data to be shared?
Hello, good morning. Ayun, so based on the current requirements na ginagawa ngayon ng team namin, based doon sa resolution ng camera, and then kapag nag-capture ng photo using the app will save yung actual file size niya. So it will also be uploaded based on its actual file size.
Okay, thank you so much. So we have another question. from Mr. Siegfried Laborte. So, paano po makukuha ng date-generated system? How accessible is the data and in what form the data is generated? Is it in CSV, spatial, statistical, or dataset?
Ayun, hello. So with regards to how the data or how the researchers can access the data, currently we are still establishing the user base of the application to generate more data. But later on, data will be available via a secured API. Although we haven't arranged the formal procedures for how the data request or how the user can request the data yet, we are still in the stage where we're establishing users in data. So potentially interested stakeholders may send a request to the head of the agency and we'll update you once we are on this stage of the project. I hope I answered that question.
All right, thank you, Kevin. Also, we have another question from our Facebook live stream. So, how do the app system handle bad or fake data?
Okay. Kailangan sigurong explain ano yung bad or fake data. No? Parang you cannot actually share any other photograph captured by your parang built-in camera application or other application. Parang before you can share photograph in the community, in the Kooha community, it needs to be captured using the camera application because it collects plurality of sensor data along the photograph. But just to ensure that the Kooha users can use the application and contribute data freely and safely, and having this at least a report system if there's a fake or siguro sensitive media uploaded to the application, we will establish a detailed community guidelines and rules to ensure Kooha users can use the application freely and safely, and we'll provide the feature for reporting sensitive media shared to the community. It depends on the user who will report particular contribution or photograph or any data that a user contributed. So at the moment, some features are currently under development, and we'll include this in our next release, the reporting feature, as mentioned by Mitch earlier. So in the meantime, the team will monitor all contributions and check if there's a violation on our rules and community guidelines. It will be, I think, deployed within the first semester. This feature will be deployed within the first semester.
All right, thank you so much, Ms. Rox.
Yeah, thank you, Ma'am Rox. Also for answering the questions that were raised earlier. I think the questions from Ma'am Jasmine Romero also addressed the question sent by Sir Siegfried regarding how we can encourage our contributor community to use the app, as well as the question earlier from Ma'am Dems on how Kooha draws the line between analyzing the data for big data. So now we proceed to another question from Dems Angeles. Can you share the best practices or use case scenarios for Kooha contributors? Also, we're encouraging our guests, if you have any more questions, you can also raise your hand via Zoom, and also feel free to send them in our chat section. Again, the question from Dems, how can you share the best practices or use case scenarios for Kooha contributors?
Okay, sige. I don't know if I get the question correctly. No? Pero parang sa anong area or anong use case scenario where I will use the Kooha application. Comparing it with other photo sharing or social media applications, it seems na why will I contribute or why will I post my picture in Kooha, wherein there's Facebook, there's Instagram, there's Twitter, malaki yung user base, and mas maraming gumagamit, mas okay yung mga features nila. So I think yung primary siguro na use case is knowing that a contribution or a photograph and sensor and plurality of sensor data collected by the application and shared to the community will somehow having an impact to the scientific community in the future, or once we generated large amount of data. So somehow the real-time participatory data collection aspect will encourage them to actually have this participation in the scientific community. And also we're trying to develop some features and to retain the users and encourage them to contribute data. As mentioned by Mitch earlier, we will be developing several features like gamification, giving awards and incentives, badges, and also we can also the bragging rights on these are your contributions to the community. Any instances in your life, you can just take a snapshot or a photograph or your selfie, anything, nasa bahay ka, nasa labas ka. Because there are different measurements. Yun yung kagandahan, parang there are several measurements that we capture, and then regardless kung nasaan ka, anong subject mo, may potential area of application. So in a way, a user contributes to the scientific community, even if they just share simple photograph. Kahit nasa bahay ka, nasa labas ka, we will capture the light, the sound, noise level, the motion, acceleration, gravity, pressure, and other data, other sensor data. So I hope I somehow nasagot ko yung tanong. I was able to answer the question.
Okay, thank you, Rox. So evidently, there are so many use cases for the Kooha, especially on the data that's generated from the application. So in the future, hopefully there will be more R&Ds that can benefit from the application data. Okay, so for the next question, we have from Mr. Dems. So the question is, are there any upcoming initiatives or plans for contact tracing, disaster risk management, or the 2022 elections?
Currently kasi we're still establishing our user base, and when we say big data, it's high volume, high velocity, high variety. So we're considering how big the data collected before we can infer or analyze. You can use it for analysis. So we're talking about thousands and gigabytes to petabytes of data contribution. But eventually, if we will be able to generate big amount of data or large data set out of the contributions by the users and community, yes, we can actually use this data as an input for data analysis for this particular area. As I've mentioned during my presentation, we can use this data for environmental applications. In terms of COVID-related, well, for contact tracing, well, COVID is here to stay. We can utilize the cellular location, historical data of your phone. If you contribute data to the Kooha, we capture the location of a particular contribution. But again, it may be limited. It depends if the user will share the data or allow the use of location services. Yes, we can use this data for these purposes, given that we have established large data set, and we have this consistent user base who contribute data. So we're considering the volume, the velocity, and variety of data before we can use this for data analysis and diagnostic analytics.
All right, thank you, Ma'am Rox. And if I may add, despite the promising data that Kooha can generate, it also is also bound for certain types of limitations, especially on the types of data that are being submitted by the users. So hopefully, this media launch will further connect Kooha app with the certain agencies, especially the different agencies in the Philippines, so that we can generate more data for certain R&D, especially if we try to generate data for agriculture. We encourage partnership with the Department of Agrarian Reform or with different agriculture sector, and also with technologies, DOTR, and furthermore different agencies that can benefit from the data generated from the Kooha. Okay, so another question. So this is another question from Mr. Dems. So you mentioned that Kooha can be used for tourism in terms of analyzing mobile signal strength. Will this be cross-checked with Project BASS or Project Base, crowdsourcing mobile app that monitors bandwidth provided by telco companies and other ISPs?
Yes, that is actually a good input. We can cross-check the analysis or the result of diagnostic analytics in Kooha against other projects. So essentially, we collect the network signal, kung ano yung SIM card na naka-insert sa mga mobile phones natin. We collect this data, and then we can check for the telecommunication. As I've mentioned earlier on my presentation, this data can be used by telco industries to identify areas with weak signal reception. And again, we highly rely on the sensor data of our mobile devices. And again, there are parameters that needs to be considered kung bago ba yung sensors ng phone, especially kung luma na yung phone natin, it may vary, mag-vary yung measurements. So we're considering all these parameters when we will analyze data in the future. And it's good to know na may mga ganitong projects like in Project Base na we can cross-check the result against the result for better inference and result. So yun, so good input for data analysis in the future. We can cross-check.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Rox. So apparently, Project Base is a DOST-backed project as well. And we're sorry pala po. It's Miss po pala and not Mr. Dems. Okay, sorry po. Okay, moving on. We have another question from Antonio Salceda from the Philippines Post News Today. So this question is related to another question from Nez Aguilar of the Philippine Event News. So what are the other features that Kooha without the other app? So related to this one is, what is the advantages and disadvantages of Kooha as an app? The Philippines, okay, that's the question.
Ferg, I think this question has been answered already earlier. Yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Miss Michelle. Okay, so moving on, we have another question from Mr. Owen Lagunday. So the first question is, in general, what necessitated the creation of Kooha? Is it to respond to a vacuum out of social behavior or pattern? Again, the question is, what necessitated the creation of Kooha? Is it to respond to a vacuum out of social behavior or pattern?
Well, that is actually one area of application, but initially we're aiming to create this niche for big data generation, an avenue for big data generation. And eventually this data can be used to generate new knowledge or develop new applications. Well, considering then yung when we have, as I mentioned, we have generated enough or big data set. So, well, that's just an example of an area of application where we can use the data. So we can use this for research purposes. We can infer general public's behavior or preferences, association, well, for the purpose of improving public services. Well, in general, the goal is for the user to contribute data and use this data for applicable areas of applications, as I've mentioned earlier, in the area of telco, business, tourism, education, and even for policymakers and decision makers, health, education, etc. So,
Thank you so much, Ms. Rox. Another question from Mr. Owen. For TLO, would the government through DOST maintain ownership of Kooha? What is the IP plan for that? Again, would the government through DOST maintain ownership of Kooha? What is the IP plan for that?
Thank you for that question. Kooha has an IP applied, has a patent applied, trademark, and copyrights. And the government is looking for licensees who would like to adopt the technology. And in particular, we are looking into investors who are into Internet of Things, software applications, and other related technologies. So the IP is still with the government, of course, but in order for Kooha to be fully utilized by the people, we want to partner with the industry in terms of opening this application for potential business.
Thank you, Ms. Maria Irene Amatorio, for answering the question. And for our last question, I think. So from Zaruba Zaragoza, can the data generated or collected by Kooha be downloaded so that the researchers can use it in their studies? Example, if you want to have an audit of a particular topic or object, can we download them? So this question is related also to Siegfried Laborte's question on how are data generated and validated.
And actually, the web application version of Kooha is designed for sharing the data of Kooha to interested parties. The filtering functionalities is designed for filtering data to be downloaded based on the available sensor data. So yun na yung subject niya. So based on the sensor data that Kooha is collecting, like yung luminance, temperature, location. Then as mentioned earlier with my presentation, that feature, the filter feature, is currently being enhanced by our team. And also we are developing APIs for external users to request for data from Kooha. But the mechanism on how to request, we're still planning how interested parties can request for data of Kooha. I hope I answered the question. Thank you.
If I may add also first to the question. I think this was answered by Kevin earlier. No? Parang we're establishing the user base of the application and we're still generating data. But eventually, we will be having this formal procedure on how to request available data for research studies or for other purposes, for data analytics. But potentially, yeah, stakeholders, interested stakeholders, academe, research institution may send a request to the head of the agency, write a letter of request, but we'll update you once we are on the stage of the project.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rox and Ms. Michelle, for answering the question. So this is the last question we can accommodate from the Facebook page. We apologize for not being able to answer them all. Rest assured that you can send your questions to corcom@asti.gov.ph and we'll answer them as much as we can. So the last question is, can internet speed be integrated in Kooha's backend?
What do you mean? Internet speed? Yeah. When we measure yung speed ng upload and download, right? Ito yung tinutukoy. Sige. Well, actually, mabilis kasi yung capture ng ng sensor data. Parang we read it as is. I think in a matter of seconds, we can read it. Pero yung pagbasa kasi ng internet speed, it will take some time. Depende pa kung gaano kabilis mag-respond din yung machine mo at the same time yung application na ginagamit mo to run it. Well, we have this, I think, application in ASTI where I think the NetMesh project has this application na nag-measure din ng internet speed. We're actually have this initial conversation with them. We can run this on the background, pero at the moment, hindi pa namin kasi makita yung use niya, and we haven't entertained this feature yet. Potentially, we can integrate this, pero magra-run sa background yung yung pagbasa ng data, upload and download rates ng isang ng ISP or ng network provider. Mabilis kasi si Kooha, like in a matter of seconds you can get the measurement. Siguro ito yung magiging gap, but we can discuss this. I think since DOST-ASTI rin yata yung yung same team na gumawa nito, we can actually integrate to have a richer content or data na pwedeng makollect through the application.
Right, thank you so much, Ms. Rox. And apologies, you can send your questions at info@asti.gov.ph instead. So we'll flash the email later. And I think that would be all for the questions. So this is more like a comment and suggestion from Alvin. The speaker defined big data as large data sets that may be analyzed computationally to reveal patterns, trends, and associations, especially relating to human behavior and interactions. This is correct. However, Why is DOST interested in such human behavior and interactions? I believe DOST should be concerned with the science aspect of the collected data. All of the stuff discussed are motherhood statements. I'm looking for specific scientific applications that can be derived from such big data. For example, the collected data on ambient temperature can be used to do thermal mapping and eventually be used in relation to climate change and global warming. So thank you so much, Mr. Alvin. We appreciate this comment and rest assured that it could be better from here on. And another comment, disclosure of location of contributors or the photos shared is somewhat violative of an individual's privacy. This should be disclosed only if the user agreed to its public disclosure. Hence, our privacy policy statement, just like what was stated earlier, everything is anonymized. So I think that would be all. Thank you so much for the questions and the comments.
Yes, thank you, Ferr. Also, thank you to all our participants for sharing their questions, all of our participants from the media, as well as our guests from our Facebook and YouTube live stream. So unfortunately, we don't have much time to answer all the questions during this live stream, but if you do want to know more about the Kooha mobile and web app, please message us through the DOST-ASTI or the Kooha Facebook page, or through our communications unit, or via email as mentioned by Ferr earlier at info@asti.dost.gov.ph, and anyone from the Kooha team will try to answer them. So before we end this event, may we call on the current officer in charge for DOST-ASTI, Mr. Alvin Retamar, to give his closing remarks.
Magandang agham sa ating lahat, and I hope we had a fruitful discussion for today on Kooha. I just noticed that the speakers, including USec Gev and our host, are all wearing glasses. I'm not sure if you noticed that. I guess that's a testament to the fact that we are scientists. And yes, we are part of the government, but I would like to think that as scientists, our calling is to science. And to answer a question posted a while ago, I'd like to think that the trust rating of scientists is quite high. Okay, and of course, as scientists, we'd like to look into the future, and we see data as one of those driving forces for future technologies and applications. You know? We see data as very important, and in fact, as I've said in many other speaking engagements, that data is actually the new oil. And we are launching Kooha today to help generate that kind of data, that kind of big data that can be used for many applications. So that's actually what we are promoting today, the platform to generate the data, and the applications that can come from the many users from the data community. So it's not just ASTI. We also have our own ideas on how to use the data, but I'm sure that there are more out there. No, some of the best data are actually parang spur of the moment things na isip lang, and this can be used for, say, COVID. This can be used for halalan 2022 if we have enough data by then. As mentioned by one of our speakers, it can be used for a lot of things, even kung ano ba yung favorite color ng mga Pilipino based on the photographs that were posted. So many things can be generated from this data, and we hope that in all these things will be used for public good. Before I end, I'll keep this short. I'd like to thank my colleagues from the Department of Science and Technology, especially to our Undersecretary for R&D, Rowena Cristina Guevara, for gracing today's event. Of course, our Secretary, Sec Boy de la Peña, for giving out a message earlier. And to my colleagues from the DOST-ASTI, the Kooha team, for working really hard to develop this platform and making it available for data generation and eventually for public good, and to our friends from TLO and Corcom for helping us with the arrangements for today's activities. So to close, maybe I'll do my best Ferr John imitation. And let me close by saying that Kooha is more than just a picture. It is a scientific contribution. Okay, so maraming salamat sa inyong lahat, and we hope to see you again in future activities of DOST-ASTI. And hindi lang po itong technologies na meron kami sa ASTI. There are many other in the pipeline. We'd like to invite you again for future events similar to this one. And hopefully we can relay the message to you what the science department, particularly ASTI, is doing. And I hope we can generate interest from all these activities. And I guess for our media partners, sana po, let's help in spreading the good news. As mentioned earlier, this app is participatory. So we need participation po from the public para po maka-generate po tayo ng maraming data. And from the data science community for them to know about this para po makapag-generate po tayo ng maraming applications. Yun lang po. Maraming salamat and have a good day.
Thank you very much, Mr. Retamar. We'd also like to thank our guests today, USec Guevara, our attendees from the media, DOST agencies, and our viewers on Facebook and YouTube. And that ends the Kooha Media Launch. On behalf of the Kooha project team, the communications group of the DOST-ASTI, and the entire DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute, thank you very much for being with us today. This has been Nicole Chavez, your moderator for today's event. Stay safe and healthy and have a wonderful week ahead.